The psychology of people who choose solitude. Some people don't feel lonely when they're alone. They feel relieved. Silence doesn't scare them. An empty house doesn't feel heavy. A weekend without plans feels peaceful, not sad. But here's the uncomfortable question. Is loving solitude a sign of strength or a quiet form of avoidance? Choosing to be alone is often misunderstood. People assume it means introversion, or social anxiety, or bitterness. But for many, solitude is not about rejecting people. It's about protecting mental space. It's about reducing noise. It's about thinking clearly. Still, there's a line almost no one talks about. Solitude can be healthy and powerful, and it can slowly turn into isolation. In this video, we'll separate one from the other. We'll explore the psychology of people who choose solitude, not because they are broken, but because their mind works differently. And we'll also look at when being alone stops being strength and starts becoming a limitation. If you feel more like yourself when no one is around, this is for you. 1. Not lonely. Recharging. Some people feel drained after social interaction, even if nothing negative happened. The event was polite, the people were kind, nothing dramatic occurred, and yet they come home exhausted. For them, being alone is not isolation. It is recovery. When they sit in silence, their nervous system slows down. Their breathing becomes deeper. Their thoughts become clearer. The body feels safe. Highly sensitive nervous systems react strongly to noise, emotional signals, and social expectations. In a group, the brain constantly scans faces, tone of voice, and subtle changes in mood. This consumes energy. Solitude becomes a reset button. But here is the key question. Are they recharging or are they hiding? That difference matters. 2. The need for control. Social environments are unpredictable. People interrupt. They judge. They misunderstand. They bring their stress into the room. For some personalities, unpredictability feels overwhelming. When you are alone, you control the environment, the volume, the pace, the schedule. There are no surprises. Choosing solitude can protect clarity and stability, but it can also reduce exposure to discomfort. If someone chooses solitude because they value peace, that is emotional maturity. If they choose it because they fear losing control or being misunderstood, that may be avoidance. Solitude should feel calm, not defensive. 3. A rich inner world. Many people who prefer solitude have deep internal lives. They reflect, they analyze, they imagine. Their inner dialogue is complex. Compared to that depth, small talk can feel empty. Surface conversations feel repetitive. Loud environments feel distracting. So they choose depth over noise. There is nothing wrong with that. But if the inner world becomes more comfortable than reality, social skills slowly weaken. Confidence decreases. Emotional flexibility shrinks. Growth requires friction. It requires disagreement. It requires exposure to different perspectives. If solitude supports growth, it becomes strength. If solitude replaces growth, it becomes limitation. 4. Protection after pain. Not all solitude begins as preference. Sometimes it begins as protection. There may have been betrayal, criticism, rejection, vulnerability that led to disappointment. The brain learns quickly. Alone feels safe. The nervous system creates a simple rule. Alone equals control. People equal risk. Over time, protection can look like personality. I just don't need people. I prefer my own company. I'm better this way. Maybe that's true. But sometimes the brain simply learned to reduce risk. Healthy solitude feels peaceful inside the body. Defensive solitude feels tense underneath. The body often reveals what the mind tries to justify. 5. High standards and selectivity. Some people choose solitude because their standards are high. They avoid gossip. They avoid drama. They do not enjoy shallow social circles. They prefer fewer but deeper connections. This is not arrogance, it is selectivity. But high standards can slowly turn into isolation if no one feels good enough. Perfection becomes a filter that blocks connection. Maturity means balance. You protect your peace, but you also accept human imperfection. Solitude should filter noise. It should not block life. 6. Energy management. Every interaction costs energy. For some, the cost is small. For others, it is significant. People who choose solitude often manage energy carefully. They avoid constant texting. They limit long phone calls. They prefer meaningful conversations over frequent ones. They are not cold. They are intentional. But ask the honest question: is the saved energy used for something meaningful? Solitude should create something. Clarity, creativity, reflection, healing. Focus. If nothing grows in that quiet space, the solitude may be empty. 7. Peace versus numbness. There is a deep difference between peace and numbness. Peace feels warm and grounded. Numbness feels flat and distant. When someone truly enjoys solitude, they feel alive inside it. They read. They build. They think. They create. When someone hides in solitude, time passes, but nothing changes. They feel disconnected, not centered. From the outside, both look the same. A person alone in a quiet room. Inside, the experience is completely different. Ask yourself, when you are alone, do you feel calm and present? Or do you feel detached and emotionally distant? That answer matters more than any label. 8. Social skills still matter. Even people who love solitude need connection. Humans are social by design. Total isolation slowly reduces emotional flexibility. Conversation is a skill. Listening is a skill. Tolerance is a skill. If they are never practiced, they weaken. Strong solitude means you can choose connection when it matters. You are capable of closeness, even if you do not need constant company. Avoidant solitude means you avoid connection because it feels unsafe. One is strength, the other is fear. 9. When solitude is power. Solitude becomes power when you can enter it freely and leave it freely. When you are not trapped inside it. You enjoy your own company. But you are not threatened by others. You choose silence, not because you were rejected, but because you value clarity. You protect your energy. But you are not afraid of unpredictability. That is psychological maturity. So here is a quiet but important question. If the right people entered your life, people who respect your space and value depth, would you let them in? If the answer is yes, your solitude is likely healthy. If the answer feels defensive or uncomfortable, there may be something deeper to explore. Choosing solitude is not weakness, but hiding inside it can be. Solitude can be clarity, it can be power, it can be healing, but only when it comes from confidence, not from fear. The difference is invisible to others, but it is always clear inside you. This is the if verse, where silence reveals who you really are. Subscribe. There's so much more to explore. Thank you for watching.